Good evening. Hi, Maria. What's going on? Now, as far as I can tell, over there in Arkansas, you probably missed most of the big storm. I hope you're okay. Please, can you let us know? I'm just going to go to my map. Give me a second. Well, you might have got some rain. I don't know if you got the wind and the rain, but yeah, you're probably okay. I'm hoping you're probably okay, all right? Anyway, we've already got a reading booked for this evening. Good evening. This is TarotLumination Sunday Night Live, where we do these live mini readings on tarot, the mystery of tarot. It's crazy stuff when you think about it. All these wacky cards, and if you have a decent, pretty good quality tarot reader, it's amazing what you can do. Oh, you're okay. No rain, no bad weather at all. That's excellent, because the devastation is pretty rough. Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, parts of Tennessee. Really, I think it's Kentucky as well. Alabama really got slammed. So Maria, you've probably figured out by now that really all we're doing here anymore is the Sunday Night Live tarot readings. I am going to go over a little bit of astrology just as a sort of a background. I'm not going to get myself into any kind of trouble. I'm just going to glance over a few things. And if you want to go deep diving with TarotLumination with the astrology day by day, you can go visit TarotLumination on the other place. RUMBLE. Simple. Also, if it's easier for you, once I finish all my recordings and content these days, I'm just reposting everything onto my new X account, and it's proving to be very helpful. So if you're like, I don't know where's to, you just go to X and you can search TarotLumination, and it'll come up with my channel there, and you'll get all the reports and the astrology and the readings, but you'll also get a lot of other stuff that I use as an archive, okay, as reference points. And I do it, a lot of it for myself, because I just want reference points for myself, so if I need to, I can go back in time and say, oh yeah, I thought so, yes, I remember that, I remember this, and I need to use that as a reference for another report that I'm doing. Okay. Oh, thank you, Maria. That's very kind of you. We do have a booking in advance this evening. Mr. Gregory Ross, some of you are familiar with Gregory. He's been with us since almost the beginning. Almost like you, Maria. Well, actually, I think, Maria, you were the very first. That's 13,000 subscribers ago. But the glory days are way back in history. And now we're operating on a different paradigm. So, cheers. Hope you're all making the best of your situation. I'm still learning how to do all the routine things on RUMBLE. I have to be very careful, because a lot of my videos were taken down and deleted, demonetized, whenever I sent anybody from my channel to somewhere else outside of YouTube. I think it's ridiculous, because the whole idea of the description box below is where you can add links to all sorts of things that are nothing to do with YouTube. But anyway, it seems like it's a very arbitrary, discriminatory process that the algorithm uses, and if the algorithm is, let's say, flagged, there's nothing you can do. So I don't bother to fight it. I used to try to fight it, but I don't bother to fight it anymore. I've accepted the loss, and I treat it as, let's say, evolutionary pressure to change and move on and adapt, and it's up to me to change my behavior, change my attitudes, change my perceptions, and deal with reality the way it is, as opposed to how I would like it to be. Oh, that leads me to a little story. I was talking with Love Triber last night, and we were talking about people that we know who, let's say, are very unlikely to hang out with us here at TarotLumination discussing astrology, tarot readings, the esoteric, mystical languages, and especially when it comes to my socio-political viewpoints, which tend to be very pro-patriotic, pro-constitution, pro-declaration of independence type of themes. You all know that here anyway, but I'm not going to dwell on it tonight. But still, my channel had a long history of voicing vividly my opinions and thoughts and perceptions, and that's a lot of what got me into trouble with the channel, because as you know, the owners of this platform, hello Elena. Elaine, good evening and welcome. Thanks for hanging out. If you want to book a live mini reading, you can. It's by donation. I'll show you the links. Hold on, I'll finish my story in a minute if I can remember it. And then you get a mini reading. Okay? I'll just show you over here quickly. Okay, so Elaine, on another browser, tab, a tablet, phone device, or whatever. And then we got another one. Christine Burns. Wow, okay. So, here's what you can do. You can go to TarotLumination.com somewhere on a device, and you go to the donate page, you click the donate button, it pulls up a payment processor just like Amazon Shopping or something, or eBay or whatever, but it goes to PayPal. You don't have to use PayPal. You can scroll down and just use a debit or credit card, and boom, you throw in your donation, millions of dollars, as much as you can, anything to keep the channel going and alive. And then it'll show up here in a little while, and then I can confirm your booking, and then you'll get a live mini reading. Yeah. You have to, I mean, you can just hang around and watch if you want. I mean, that's what a lot of people do. It's just fun to see other people getting their personal live tarot readings, exposing everything live on camera. As you can see, just be an observer. If you want to participate, it's kind of more fun. It's up to you. We're here. So greetings and good evening, Christine, and evening, Elaine. Why not tell us where you are? Location, location, location. How did you come to hang out on TarotLumination of all places? You have to remember, it's a tiny microscopic channel anymore. I used to have lots of subscribers and all of that good stuff. Anyway, we're still surviving. So let us know in the chat there if you'd like to. Also, while people are here, please, if you're not used to it, do the likes of the subscribes and click the bell for your notifications. And well, I guess most of you know the routine. All right, back to the little story. Love Triber was describing a friend of hers, a very long-term friend, like 30 years or something. And turns out they have very different political views and belief systems and attitudes. Even though they're good friends, they're on a very different end of the spectrum. And the weird thing is that I know of this person, and by all accounts, she is very, very, let's say, locked in to her belief system about politics and healthcare and all these conspiracy theories that are not conspiracy theories, in such a way that, for example, this woman is very proud of that she's had all her, things where you have a sharp thing that stick into you in your arm, typically, as a way to prevent a bug, a very, very famous bug. And the poor woman is very sick. And every other person that I'm aware of who is in the same belief system is also very sick because of these very sharp, pointy needle things that went into their arms. And this one particular woman is very insistent that her belief system will support her all the way through, even though she's getting more and more sick and taking more and more sharp, pointy things. And my friend basically very kindly, very, very gently, in a very friendly way said, have you ever considered that some of these conspiracy theories, they might have a point, and that what you're actually doing is harming yourself, and that there's a larger agenda that's designed to harm people? And the other woman was like, oh, that's ridiculous. Who would do that? Anyway, so, God, I'm already getting myself into trouble. All right, let's just have it. Let me just try and stop myself getting further into trouble. Let's go to the charts. I've made an astrodoodle. I wasn't even going to make an astrodoodle because that's the portal through which I get into so much trouble. But let me see if I can view the astrodoodle without getting into too much trouble. Okay, here we go. Here's the astrodoodle for today. This is Universal Astrodoodle Energy. Oh, hey, wait a minute. There's Christine. Christine Burns, New York City. Landed here by divine intervention. I will definitely come back. I signed up for notices. Whoa! Oh my God! You're probably the first new subscriber in like 8 years or something, because I've had most of them eliminated or removed. Christine, I have a brother in New York City. We're very, very different. We love each other very dearly. He's in a very different world to me, but we also have some very, very strong common denominators. I could not live in New York City, but I love to visit there when I can. It's very rare anymore, but I have been there. Actually, I did live there for about 6 weeks. I had a little apartment on the southeast side. I hated it. Sorry, I just hated it. Anyway, let me have a look here. This is the astrodoodle for today. This represents all of Homo sapiens here on planet Earth. And this is an Earth-centric chart. So we have all the classic stuff. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. All neatly laid out in a nice pie chart of 12 slices. So recently we've had a very, very powerful kite formation which is disappearing. It will come back very briefly when the moon hits Virgo right up here. But in the meantime, the Sun and Mercury are already in Libra. When we had that big fat kite, it was a very strong message of you've got to reveal it to heal it. So enormous amounts of revelations were occurring all over planet Earth regarding the toxicity of Homo sapiens and the fact that Homo sapiens is very, very, very sick right now, and that the way I would describe the sickness, it's as though Homo sapiens, if you think of Homo sapiens as a singular organism, it is heavily infected by an autoimmune disease very, very similar to stage 4 metastatic cancer that has metastasized throughout the whole body. And that cancerous tumor has a sole objective to stay alive and consume anything and everything in its path to continue to stay alive. So that's what it's doing. I call them the elites. So, oh, hold on, what's that? You're on the same frequency today. Are you a reader? Intuitive. You're an intuitive. Well done, Christine. You're in the right place. There's all sorts of healers that come to this channel, like yogis, Reiki people, tarot readers, astrologers, psychic mediums, pet mediums. They come and go. So yeah. Anyway, right now what we have, of course, is a massive cluster of retrogrades here. Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So in regard to that, very, very, very heavy energy about where the core theme, okay, let's isolate it right here. Okay, right there. Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, all retrograde. So basically anything and everything that can go wrong will go wrong during this period for anything and everything that these planets represent here in our life experience on Earth. And that's what we see happening. A lot of people across the planet are waking up to the realization that we are very, very, very sick as a species. We are self-destructing on a mass scale, and we have identified some of the entities that are actually the destructive entities, because most people don't want to die and they don't want to be harvested for energy. They want to have happiness. They want to be content. They would like to have shelter, clean air, clean water, clean food, community, companionship, a sense of meaning and purpose, a sense of love and compassion and joy in their lives. Whether you're in a very, very modest little village somewhere up in the Himalayas or in Africa, or whether you're in Liechtenstein or Switzerland or America or wherever, most people, I would say most people inside just want the basics. But there's a handful, a certain percentage of people that are just the opposite. They are literally predators. And some of them are apex predators. They're the very, very tippity top of the food chain. And their very most favorite prey is other people. Yep. I could also add that they're the most delicious hors d'oeuvres and main meal of all. Oh, gosh. I'm not going to say it. Okay, just shut up, Teal. Shut up. So, sorry, I'm crunching ice. Astrologically, what's happening is the very darkest shadow, unhealthy expressions of Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune are being accessed and exploited by the most evil people on Earth for their benefit. However, because of the amazing good fortune of the kite over the last few weeks, we've had a chance to reveal it so that we can heal it. We've been able to see behind the Neptunian veil and discover some of the mechanisms of treachery, betrayal, deception, lies, fraud, extortion, blackmail, murder, poisoning, psychological manipulation, psyops, genocide, any kind of mechanism to spread havoc and pain and suffering so that the elites can harvest that energy. We've now seen it. We'll talk about that a lot more on my channel at RUMBLE. That's the other platform. Okay, anyway, for tonight, let's just keep it simple. Two things I want to point out that for me personally are very, very awkward. Very, very awkward. I will confess to you that the way the astrology is right now, these are the transits. Each planet is whizzing around our solar system. Okay, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They're just doing what they do. They're not good, they're not bad. It's just how we interpret the energy. Anyway, right now, at this very moment in time, with the angles and the aspects, we've got a beautiful, powerful, grand trine. That's illustrated here in this big fat green triangle. It's moving fairly quickly, because Venus moves fairly quickly. They're very, very close in the degrees, so this is a very powerful alignment of the water signs, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. It's so big, so powerful, that it can create symptoms of overload. For example, let's say you, the dear viewer, let's say you might be heavily loaded up in your own personal astrology with maybe Cancer or Scorpio or Pisces, or maybe the signs that are opposed, for example, Taurus or Virgo or Capricorn. You might be feeling very, very, very uncomfortable, very, very uneasy, even though this is technically speaking very powerful and very harmonious. It's just that it's overload. It's overload, like for sensitivity. So Christine, for example, if you are an intuitive, this might be really, really great for you, because this would, with the water signs definitely tending to be the most intuitive types, psychic, mediums, and so on. If you've got a powerful Pisces or Scorpio or Cancerian theme inside of you, you might be really feeling like tuned in, but it might be overload, like you might be picking up too much sensitivity of life and the world around you, sensing other people's dilemmas, tragedies, and sickness, and so on. But anyway, let's move on. There's another one which is moving fairly slowly, and to me, it's very, very hard to handle this. It's actually hard to describe it too. I'll try my best. This is the nodal axis over here. That red line there represents the nodal axis. Okay. The north node is in Aries at the early degrees. South node is in Libra at the early degrees. Well, I'm not going to do astrology classes or anything, but with the nodal axis, it kind of represents a journey. It's not an absolute destiny, it's more of a journey where, let's say you're born and this is your birth chart. Let's just say, for the sake of example, you were born today at this moment, and this is your perfect birth chart. And you have, let's say, your Cancer rising, okay? You would have a Libra south node and an Aries north node. South node in the fourth house at around 4 or 5 degrees. North node, 4 or 5 degrees in the 10th house of Aries for you. But I'm talking about the whole world, but I'm just using this one as an example, as if it's an individual person. So at the Libra South Node, it would be an indication that you incarnated in this lifetime with a very strong tendency to lean into relationships, to the point of codependency, to the point where relationship dynamics have already plateaued and it's starting to become toxic. In other words, it's like someone who can't function without a relationship. Like, oh my God, who am I? Who the hell am I? I don't know who I am unless I'm in a relationship with someone else and I get reflection back to them. Oh no. Oh, Victor's here. Blessings, Victor. I'll do a little few moments of finance, but honestly, Victor, you're going to have to migrate over to Rumble. Ooh, I almost said it. RUMBLE. The RUMBLE platform, and look for TarotLumination over there, and I'll do a lot of my deep dive astrology, which is, controversial or very controversial. Or you might say truthful. But anyway, hi, Victor. So, with the Libra South Node, people who have a powerful Libra South Node tend to have almost like a fixation on relationships, where their whole life, world existence pivots on relationships. Like, it's like the most important thing in their world. Like, who am I going out with? Or does anybody love me over there? Do you like me or do you dislike me? Why don't you like me? Do you like me? Oh, I can't function with this without you. In other words, you form a relationship with somebody, and they start to think, oh my God, you're too freaking clingy. Just back off. Get off me. Get off my back. I don't mind being friends and having a relationship, but I can't have you riding piggyback or trying to get inside my backpack all the time and live your life through me. Not acceptable. So the idea is we're supposed to grow out of that and mature and to discover the path of sovereign self. What does that look like? Oh my God, I'm just me. In other words, I'm not just me as a reflection of someone else. I'm just me because I'm me. And that's absolutely terrifying to the Libra South Node people. And the Libra South Node people would have life experience as chosen to incarnate in this lifetime, where they will inevitably meet circumstances, people, relationships, situations, which will force them to face the realities of their nodal journey, where a big part of their life here is to discover who they are as an individual, their sovereign self, where they have the right to be themselves without being second guessing from someone else, or basically looking to someone else for validation, like, did I say the right joke at the right time to the right people? Does anybody love me because of what I said or how I do? No. So anyway, that's happening right now. And right now, the South Node for the whole world is conjoined by the Sun and Mercury. So that's a powerful alignment. And what I feel is happening is that it's waking, it's like a huge wake-up call to Homo sapiens, that we need to consider ourselves as sovereign individuals and mature and grow above and beyond having to continually, project ourselves into someone or something else and wait for feedback before we have any sense of identity in who we are. In other words, the journey is the North Node Aries, where you are facing like, oh my God, what do I do now? I have to make a decision now that's correct for me and me alone, as opposed to pandering to other people so that they might like me better, or they don't want to reject me. It's very frightening for Libra South Node people right now. So it's happening for the whole world, and one of the frightening things about it is that people are realizing across the world, oh my God, I have vested so much time, money, energy, sovereign energy of selfhood into other people on the belief or the wish or the concept that I can trust them blindly without having to think or worry about anything anymore. For example, segue here to finance, segue to finance, segue to finance. The banks, your bankers, the people who are basically saying, hey, deposit your money over here. We'll take care of it. We'll set up your retirement fund, your savings, your annuities, your stocks, your bonds, your cryptos, all of that stuff. Just give me your money. Be very, 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 very careful. For example, if you look at China right now, a lot of Chinese people, probably about a billion, not a million, a billion Chinese people are starting to realize that, oh my God, I cannot trust my relationship with my bank. They took all my money. They're giving me currency, little small amounts of currency. When I demand a withdrawal, they're only giving me this much. And when I go home and check all my bills and count them out, half of them are counterfeit. Okay, that's a perfect example of a huge awakening about the Libra South Node, and it's time to take care of yourself. Prioritize yourself first. What's that expression in very, very crude martial terms? Think of Aries ruled by Mars. Think of Mars as the warrior, the fighter that basically has to go out and do whatever it has to do to get what it needs to stay alive. And that sometimes means go out and go hunting, which you perhaps might include a weapon of some kind. And then when you finally found a nice big fat deer or some sort of delicious wild animal or a buffalo, you don't hesitate. You do whatever you can. You shoot first, and you worry about what happens afterwards, okay? So that's what I'm talking about. So when next time you decide to open a bank account, you might want to say, okay, what's the trust ratio of your bank? Okay, I know you've got a very, very big famous name like Wells Fargo or Bank of America or Citi or Chase, even Chase. Whoa. Can I really trust you? And of course they're going to say, why are you asking? Of course you can. And then you discover later on that Wells Fargo and Bank of America are about the biggest criminals in the world, along with the Fed. Oh, maybe too little, too late. Duh. Anyway, it's time to grow up and mature and for all of us to be our sovereign selves. That's the message of today. So if, for example, let's say you have very prominent Libra aspects in your chart, or very something like that, and you're starting to feel very uncomfortable, and you're realizing, oh my God, I'm going through a little chapter right now where I'm looking around in my life and my world like, I trusted all these people that I can't trust. I realized like everyone screwed me over. I thought so-and-so loved me and they were screwing around behind my back. Wait a minute. I just loaned my neighbor $100 and they said, oh, I'll get it back to you by the end of the week. And I've never seen them. I never saw them again. Wait a minute. I trusted my auto technician. And he screwed me. He sold me an $8,000 transmission and all I really needed was the fluid changed. My relationships are screwed up. Anyway. So that's one of the important things about what's happening right now for the whole of humanity. And so it's like a wake-up call. You've got to reveal it to heal it. And people are realizing that not all relationships are trustworthy. Not all relationships are worthy of you. Okay? Perhaps you're the offender. Perhaps you are not worthy of certain relationships. Either way, it's a problem. And the South Node, heavily lit up by Sun and Mercury, is going to light it up. Bring awareness. And we evolve by more and more awareness. That's how we evolve. Mostly through pain and suffering. Anyway, so let me go through a few notes here. I try to make notes in such a way that I don't get into too much trouble. What I did was I just kind of went through, let's say, global headlines, and I didn't put my spin on it too much. I'm just looking at your notes there, Victor. Hello, TLO, young lion master there. Yosui Reiki, you do master. Hands-on, attuned, a multiple style energy master healer. You know what, Victor? Where are you in America, if you're in America? We have another fellow who comes here now and again. His name's James Helen. And he has similar characteristics. He is multiple certified in multiple healing modalities. Very, very good at what he does. He's set up a whole business and everything. And he's trying to expand his business with a partner. Anyway, hands off to you. Hats off. What's the expression? Hats off to you. Thank you for being with us. Okay, I'm just going to read a few things out. Hold on. Let's see what I got. Let me see what I got here. I'll be with you in just a moment. New Jersey. New Jersey. Oh, I got a friend in New Jersey. I can't do the New Jersey gangster language accent. I can't do it. Some accents I can do. I can do a fake British accent, but I can't really do the New Jersey. Okay. Okay, so a couple things. SpaceX! That's Elon. You know, SpaceX has been going for many years. I think it's a lot of years now. You know, they do all their satellites. They do the you can do internet satellite and things like that. Anyway, as you know, the federal government got fed up with the incompetence of government contractors, and so they decided, you know what, we're going to do real classic, old-fashioned free market capitalism approach. We're going to outsource the job to SpaceX rather than government contractors directly, okay? Anyway, because Boeing failed completely to do its space mission recently, the government called on SpaceX and said, SpaceX, can you please go and rescue our space station people way out there in outer space? And so Elon went and said, oh, okay, I'll arrange it. Okay, I need a couple of astronauts. We have to fit in with the schedule for the government, so be adaptable, but I need a couple of astronauts. We got a 4-seater capsule. We're only going to put 2 astronauts in because on the way back early next year, we're going to bring 2 people as a rescue mission. Cool? Okay, let's do it. And so they did it. Anyway, they're up there today. I just watched the launch, and they're already inside the space station. They're getting inside the space station, getting ready to do like this, you know, exchange thing. It's going to take months, but eventually, yeah, pretty cool stuff. Okay. Here's another thing. This is very almost kind of shocking. As you probably know, Israel is going on a real tear right now. Israel has, you know, it's blasting the southern Hamas region. It's blasting the Hezbollah region. It's now blasting the Houthi region. And it's also blasted the Iran mothership region. And so the whole of the, you know, this big terrorist type of agenda is actually feeling as though they're being terrorized themselves. I talk about this a lot more in much deeper, let's say, detail over on my Rumbles. If you want to follow up there, please do. Most of this stuff is stuff that I can't talk about on my channel, but here on YouTube. But anyway, so you've probably also heard China is now doing practice bombing. Okay, they've done huge ballistic missiles into the Pacific. That worked. It's quite impressive. But of course, they were just dummy bombs. And now they're practicing huge missile bombs way in western China. And of course, the Western satellite spotted it. And the whole idea is that China is gearing up for going into big-time warfare. And just like a classical bully and a thug, they keep coming right up to your face and saying, I'm going to freaking get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. But they don't actually touch you. But they keep practicing, they keep practicing, they keep practicing. And the whole idea is they're trying to bait you to hit them first, and then they can say, well, I told you so, you were stupid, and now you've started a war. But the baiting process isn't working, so China keeps baiting. And eventually, if they're going to have any credibility, they're going to have to blast off the first shot. And that makes it, let's say, kind of redundant. So anyway, that's what's happening right now. China's sending hundreds of warplanes and warships all around Taiwan and the Asia Pacific, the South China Sea and everything, to act big and powerful and mean, and hoping that the Western alliance will take the bait. It's not working, but anyway, China's going to keep trying. The United States is also doing very nasty things with bang sticks over in Syria. I mean, it's insane right now. And the current American administration, with Grandpa Joe and Comrade Kamala, they're working hard to play both sides. Israel is heavily funded. and so is Iran. Isn't that interesting? It's been done in a very nefarious way behind the scenes, but it's basically a classic banker's war. Billions and billions of dollars at stake while they shoot each other into oblivion. Same thing that's going on between UKRAINE and RUSSIA. Same thing. Here's a piece of good news. It made me very cheerful. Okay, so Austria. Austria is in the middle of Europe, right next to Switzerland, Italy, Romania, Hungary, Poland, all that kind of area. Austria, they just had a major win for the far-right Freedom Party. I think that's so cool. That's aligning with the AfD far-right party in Germany and the Italian party with the... what's her name? I forgot her name. It's kind of fun. For me, it's really fun to watch all these what I consider basically common sense people coalescing and giving the effing middle finger to the globalist elites that have contaminated and infected the whole of Western Europe. Germany is in such deep trouble with its economy. Same thing with England. It's terrifying to watch. It's really tragic. But again, that's part of the plan. The elites, the people at the very, 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 very top, are trying everything they can to destroy sovereignty. They don't want sovereignty. They don't want an Aries North node. They want everybody in a festering, toxic relationship between the apex predators at the top and the rest of the 8 billion people in the rest of the world that are effectively living in a virtual prison through their banking apps, CBDCs, and so on and so on. Vaccine apps and all of that stuff. So that's very exciting. I was very happy for Austria. We have a few channel members in Austria. I hope she's okay. Okay, so we have some horrific stuff happening in the United States with a massive historic hurricane, Hurricane Helene. Some people say it was cloud seeded into existence above and beyond, way beyond what it would have been. And the strategy was to interfere with the election. Think of the millions of voters that are going to be impacted by this storm. Just saying. Anyway, right now, as of about an hour and a half ago, they've got up to 98 dead so far and counting. And I was given a message by Love Triber, who has friends in the first responder world, and the first responders are basically saying we're only reporting on the bodies that we find alive. We don't have time or energy or resources to report on all the people who are not alive. So there's a lot of updating to do with the data. So it's very interesting, but those kind of storms happen all over the world. China's economy is devastated by a dozen storms like that in the last 9 months. Okay, so it does happen. Okay, astronomical, above and beyond type storms do happen, but of course we can blame it on the planets. Uranus and Taurus, and it's coming close to the degrees of desperation and crisis. So watch out. My personal feeling is things like these astrological storms are going to go berserk. Bizarre, whatever it is, freak freeze-ups, freak hail, freak tornadoes, freak fires, freak flooding, freak heat events, freak cold events. Really bizarre, terrifying stuff. That represents shocking climate instability. And of course, we all know that's all going to get blamed on the oil and gas business. Just as a reminder, they're talking about carbon credits and all that, and we're scaring the world. We've got too much carbon dioxide. So guess how much carbon dioxide exists in the atmosphere? And what is healthy? Is it 5, 10, 15, 20% of our air is carbon dioxide? No, it is 0.4, or is it 0.04? Anyway, it's a tiny amount of our atmosphere is actually carbon dioxide. If you talk to a tree or a big plant or a forest or palm trees or the Amazon jungle and you ask them, hey, how do you feel about carbon dioxide? They would say, please, we're desperate. Give us some more. Okay? So anyway, that's my opinion on that. So it's interesting, like over in Nepal, in northern India by the Himalayas, there's already massive flooding from other storms over there, but there's hundreds and hundreds of people dead. Not just 100, but hundreds. Okay? Same thing in China. They haven't even counted the bodies in China. It's so bad. China is in so much trouble, and I'm not going to talk about it much, otherwise I'll get into trouble. Okay. I already talked about the Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, water sign trifecta, the big grand trine. We talked about that early. The one thing I wanted to mention, this is very controversial, but I'm going to try and say it in such a way it's not too trouble. Tucker Carlson, as you know, he's a radical truth speaker. Let's say, the people who don't like truth don't like him. Tucker Carlson is very closely aligned with what I think of as these common sense people. I'm not going to name them. But anyway, Tucker's been on a tour all across America, sort of like DJT, who's doing rallies all over America. One town after another, tens of thousands of people at each rally. Well, Tucker is also very, very popular because he speaks the truth. And that's what people want. They want to wake up. They want to be aware. They're sick of being forced to live in a toxic, poisonous sewage pit of lies coming out from the mainstream media. So anyway, one of his new friends is Roseanne Barr. She's a famous celebrity from years ago who is actually now extremely outspoken truth speaker regarding all the horrific things that happen to very young people. Very, very young people. Especially in America. Especially in the relationship between very, very young people in America and the apex predators at the top. I'm not going to elaborate too much more, but she has, of course, long experience and exposure to that world, having been a so-called VICTIM herself and got out of it. Sort of like becoming in a cult. But there are lots of little very young people, boys and girls, who never get out. In fact, there's no way that they could get out because they are DEAD. And so we described it very simply that there are apex predators at the very, very top. She's calling them out very vocally, and it was very difficult for Tucker because he's just like, oh my God, I like to call out the truth, but sometimes it's too scary even for my shows, even for my events. But anyway, Roseanne says, someone's got to call it out. The people up there at the very, very top, it's not a joke. They are literally VAMPIRES, literally speaking. Not a joke, not some kind of horror movie, but literally true, live, genuine. Okay, so that's my little mini rant without getting into trouble. As far as I know, the channel is still broadcasting. The algorithm has not shut us down. We're still here. I have a booking already this evening for Mr. Gregory Ross. Oh, look at that. A correction from Love Triber. The percentage of carbon dioxide in the air today is about 0.04. It's a microscopic proportion of our atmosphere. Okay? Even if it doubled, it wouldn't make any difference except to happiness for plants. Wouldn't make any difference to humans. the whole thing about the weather and the conspiracies about the weather and how it's being used as a tool of exploitation for innocent people is that they're playing on your stupidity and misunderstandings about how life and the universe and everything actually works, as opposed to what they're telling you, because what they're telling you is full of complete lies. All right. Bubba for president. Oh, I agree to that. All right, let me just do some stuff over here, folks. So we got to get ready. I only have one booking as far as I can tell so far. So we're going to go for that. And if that's all there is, that's all there is. Everyone else, you can just watch, hang out, do whatever you want. Enjoy the show. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell them to go over to TarotLumination on RUMBLE and sign up. Do the rants, become a member, subscriber, follower, get your notifications, all of that good stuff. All right, I got to put all of this away. We're doing readings now. Okie So, Gregory, you are up. I'm going to get your magic post-it note here. Most of you know Gregory pretty well. He's been a member here with TarotLumination for, God, it's got to be at least 7 years. So, I'm going to fire up the deck and we're going to get rolling. All right, Victor, we'll see you. Please, Victor, come and visit on RUMBLE. I didn't do much chatter about the financials tonight because I could go on forever, and I'm just here to do mini readings, really. Thanks for your patience, everybody. I had to just clean up a few things, get myself kind of, I guess, psyched up here. All right, so I see some notes here from you, Gregory. Let's have a look. All right, so, hey TL, I have a question about whether to help RH on a bankruptcy matter and what is indicated around that issue. Okay. All right, we can do that. I love the so many different infinite subjects that we can address doing these tarot readings. I just wanted to illustrate, here's my reference point for September. Okay? These were the eclipses through the middle of the month. Most people across the world had the impression, certainly I did, that the world is in a state of crisis. Deep, deep crisis and desperation, and it's amplifying. And we had a chance to reveal it, to heal it. And that's where we are right now. The veil, the veils of deception have been pulled aside, and the bright lights of reality have exposed the deception. And the deceptions and the lies are on such a massive scale that it's almost impossible to comprehend. But that's the reality. It's like a huge unraveling. The most recent of all of this, of course, was Mercury going into Libra, Sun into Libra, Venus into Scorpio. I showed that on the chart over here. Okay, and I talked a lot about earlier tonight about the Libra South Node being heavily conjoined by Sun and Mercury. So it's time for people to wake up about what relationships are and what they are not. And where do you stand? Okay, let's have a look here. All right, so we're ready to go. For newbies who are watching, they've never done this before. When people, I have basic 3 spreads. I did a lot of studies and training in tarot years ago, but really all I do today is I have 3 custom-made spreads that I did myself. I have my situational spread that we use here for the live mini readings. In personal readings, I also use my relationship spread and my heart-soul journey spread, okay? But that's a whole other world. If people want to go there, you can book it through TarotLumination.com. And it's very much like what we do here on the live, but it's private between you and me. And it's recorded. You get the tape for all time. You get the recording, the file. You own it. It's totally private and secure. All right, some more notes from Gregory. Thank you. It's axiomatic that when they are accusing us of things, they are guilty of the very thing that they point out. Oh my God. Oh boy. Actually, you've done a very, very good job of describing it in very clear words that I have not actually used myself, but that's really good. I'm going to say it again. When they are accusing us of things, they are guilty of the very thing they point out. Wow. Shocking reality. They being the other party in a relationship dynamic, like you and the opponent, you and the other. By the way, now that we're talking about those things, thank you for Gregory. I'd like to add another layer of understanding here with the nodal axis, the North Node. Well, it actually faces with this way for the world right now. North Node is in Aries. So, oh, I just lost it. I had this beautiful illustration that I was going to mention. Oh, yeah. They are guilty of the thing. Okay, so, regarding the nodal axis here, let's personalize it a little bit more. Let's say it this way. So when that person is accusing me of things, that person is guilty of the very thing they point out. Gregory is using the word they as a group, but people often use the word they to point to others. So it's very, very true, but it's a beautiful illustration, what Gregory just wrote, about how dangerous it is to entrust everything to a relationship. It doesn't have to be that way if you have trustworthy relationships with, filled with compassion, truth, responsibility, honesty, integrity, and so on. That's great. Healthy ingredients for a healthy relationship. But in astrology, this is the house of self. The self. When you look in the mirror, that's you. That's who you are. The first house of self. Your sovereign self. Your right to be you. That would be your existence on earth. Here, I am me. And over here is the seventh house of the other. So as people mature and grow through life, relationships are formed. And one of the most common and popular and powerful relationships is marriage. And if you have a good marriage, it's one of the most valuable things you can have on earth. If you have a sucky marriage, then it can be the most terrifying, dangerous thing you can have on earth. Statistics prove this. So, this is the house of self and taking care of ourselves and being our true self. Over here, this is the house of marriage. But it's also the house of open enemies. The reason I say that is because it's a common saying in astrology. The seventh house is also the house of open enemies. Take, for example, a marriage that turned out to be very toxic or unhealthy, but you didn't know until you got into the marriage, because the marriage was filled with someone who was, let's say, deceptive, toxic, treacherous, or whatever. And then what you thought was something very valuable, like a marriage. Most people don't get married unless they attribute high value to the relationship. And then you discover it's the worst thing you've ever done, the worst decision you ever made. And that's why they call the seventh house the house of open enemies. It's because there's nowhere to hide. In a marriage, there's typically nowhere to hide. Even if you're sleeping around with another person, usually your other spouse, partner, can smell it a mile away. Nowhere to hide. Very dangerous. All right, Gregory, here we go. So what questions and what kind of messages do we have here tonight for Gregory regarding the subject of a bankruptcy matter with a potential client, RH? Okay, let's have a look, see what messages come up here. So you know the routine, Gregory. You're also a reader yourself. So do what you got to do. Sit on your own hands if you have to, or chill back and relax. Invite your invisible friends to assist you and join so you can have a deeper sense of connection. We could all, and like in the old days on my channel, I would have suggested, imagine that we're all here at a campfire at the TarotLumination retreat in New Zealand. And we all hold hands, well, not theoretically, but we all spiritually hold hands and create like a vortex of very powerful energy. And we share that with the client, in this case, Gregory, for the maximum power and revealing. So here we go. Cards are all shuffled and set to go. No reversals, no nothing like that. Here we go. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. And here's how we're going to deal with it. And let's have a look at external influences. I usually default to the planets. Let's see what that kind of looks like. Okay, so we have the Seven of Swords here. To me, this is an indication there might be some very, very, very subtle, let's say, nefarious energies going on deep in the background or just behind the veil of presentation. So in relationships, frequently people present themselves one way, where in fact deep inside they are something else. It's very, very common, it's very, very normal, especially if somebody wants something from somebody else, but they don't want to, let's say, behave in a very trusting, legal, or honest way. They would rather behave or act through nefarious or treacherous means. Okay? So, with the Sound of Swords, to me, my first impression is, first of all, number one, be very, very careful, because it's an indication that not everything is as it seems. In other words, if there's a client here, and it's RH, and they're dealing with a bankruptcy matter, and they're presenting the scenario to you, and you're enacting with RH because of, let's say, friendship, or previous business together, or a sense of camaraderie, or helping out a dear friend, or whatever the background dynamics that has brought this situation together. What the Seven of Swords is indicating is that just, the way it looks to me, is just behind the veil of presentation, there would be something a little treacherous or nefarious going on. And sometimes that happens. I'm just going to share. The reason I'm mentioning this is because I've sort of been around and helped, I would say probably 7 or 8 people in my life with bankruptcy, going through the psychological, emotional turbulence. And it's very difficult, and it's very different for each person. That's what I noticed. And some people actually, it's almost like they have a criminal intent. And you have to be very, very careful. And sometimes they're trying to draw in assistance in such a way that it keeps them appearing wholesome, when in fact there's something very shady going on, and they're trying to get away with something very shady. That's not to say there's anything shady about what's going on here, but typically when people go through bankruptcy, it can be very traumatic or emotional, and things are going to come up that the person potentially who's going to file bankruptcy is hoping that nobody finds out. In other words, they're going to file bankruptcy and present the bankruptcy filing as legitimate, but they're actually trying to hide something which is very nefarious, okay? Hello, Tina! Welcome! Yes, Tina, go for it. Yeah, I'll be here. I can only probably handle 2 readings tonight anyway, so thank you, Tina. Sure. All right, so Gregory, what I'm sensing here is like, sure, okay, consult with RH and proceed, but I would proceed with caution, because it could be that you're in a situation, we haven't even got to the reading yet, you're in a situation where a certain person may be attempting to exploit your good nature to achieve a nefarious outcome that would benefit them, and hoping that you don't discover that you are being exploited for nefarious purposes. Okay, it happens. I'm just telling you, it happens. So, anyway, let's have a look at the situation itself. Okay, so we've got the Star card here. My feeling is that with the Star card, this would represent your energy, in that you might have a situation here where RH might be in a state of desperation. They don't really know it. They might not even be aware that they're in a state of desperation. They are conducting themselves in a manner that, oh gosh, I think I might have to file bankruptcy or something. Oh dear, I wish it hadn't come to that. Hey, Gregory, can you help? And you kind of go, oh, sure, man. Yeah, I can do that. What I'm sensing here is that this RH person may be in a lot more trouble than just bankruptcy, a bankruptcy situation, and they don't know how to handle it, and they might be leaning on you in a form of dependency and trusting in your good nature and perhaps previously shared good experiences or something like that. And in some ways perhaps trying to take advantage of you rather than having a pure transactional relationship where, hello, I am person RH. I am in a real financial pickle. I need someone to file bankruptcy and represent me through a bankruptcy. Thank you. I don't think that's what's going on here. And what I think is actually happening is that RH is actually frightened and they're kind of leaning on you. And because of certain pre-existing relationship dynamics, you may have to move forward in the situation where you are perfectly aware after this reading that there is something nefarious going on, something that's not wholesome, and your friend is desperate or this person is desperate, and you are having to maintain the aura of, he's a creditor, not filing. Okay, he's a creditor. So trying to collect. RH is a creditor. He's trying to collect. So, okay, let's backtrack a bit. If RH is a creditor and he's trying to collect on someone who's filing bankruptcy, some of the stuff still applies, but it might be that RH is a victim of predatory behavior by someone who's filing bankruptcy in order to exploit RH and making it much harder for RH to, let's say, find justice. And so that you end up having to be someone where, basically, where RH leans on you for hope, guidance, in a situation that is riddled with treachery. Very, very difficult. Very, very awkward. Because it looks like it's... You know, like some bankruptcies are purely circumstantial. In other words, because of like flooding, you know, over in Asheville, North Carolina, somebody's business is destroyed. They have no option but to file bankruptcy. If their business was carrying a lot of debt and that was routine built in and that's normal, or a farm, let's say a farm was destroyed and they had $300,000 of debt, it's not recoverable and that's a legitimate bankruptcy. But what I'm seeing here is that there's something a bit shady, okay, going on. Yes, predatory behavior and the situation is riddled. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm sensing. Okay, and then you have to carry yourself forward with RH, where you are essentially, I guess you could say, holding hands to give a sense of hope and stability, even though there might not be any chance of recovery. People still need a sense of hope, or in order to continue. All right, so what are the challenges here? Let's have a look. Okay, it looks like the challenges here is like there's multiple aspects to this bankruptcy situation that are going to be exposed if you decide to assist or dive in. The Seven of Wands, the Seven of Swords, they're kind of amplifying each other. In other words, let's say you assist RH in the bankruptcy situation, trying to collect accordingly, and you discover, oh, there's something not quite right about the situation, and you dig deeper and you realize, oh my God, it's worse than I thought. We better dig deeper. And the deeper you go, the worse it is. The more nefarious, the more shady, the more crooked things become. Not become, but they already are. So that's a bit of a problem. And then there's you, Gregory, kind of being a hero here. Understand, like the energy of hope is believing in something pure and good and wholesome despite the lack of evidence. Someone's got to do it. Someone has to be the water bearer. So it looks like the challenge is that it's actually quite challenging, and the deeper you go, the deeper you're going to get into it, and the worse it's going to get. It's like, it's like an old car or something. Oh, something was rattling. Oh, it was just a loose bolt on the wheel. And then you discover, oh, wait a minute, it's actually the wheel bearing. Oh my God, and now it's the whole front suspension. Oh no, oh my God. This is much worse than I thought. The whole chassis is riddled. Oh no! That's what I'm sensing. Okay. So how are we going to deal with this going forward? Okay, so we've got the Nine of Pentacles here. So this is a card of independence. And I think you said she is RH creditor, not filing. But you're right. If RH is a she, a female, it might be an idea to like set a reference point, do a kind of reality check where perhaps RH, let's put it this way. I don't want to be rude or offend anybody here, okay, Gregory? But it feels to me like there's a certain reality check that has to go on here, which is not going to be well received. Okay? This is what I'm sensing. It might be that RH, if RH is a female creditor, let's say RH is a female creditor, RH would have some of the characteristics of a wealthy, independent female who's very comfortable in the world of wealth and money, finance and abundance, well-deserved, and so on and so on. And either out of the kindness of their own heart or out of what appeared to be a perfectly ordinary borrower-lender type relationship or situation, or like a personal loan or helping somebody to get along or helping out with down payments on houses or businesses or something, only to discover that she got ripped off and the intention was to get money out of her and then file bankruptcy so she has no legitimate way of getting the money back, okay? So it feels to me that part of your role at this moment in time in terms of being a bearer of hope and perhaps bringing a sense of reality is to, I don't know how you're going to do this, but having to very delicately, diplomatically convey one of the hidden, unspoken dynamics of a borrower-lender relationship, the way they are legally navigated in America. In America, we have very powerful bankruptcy laws, and they're designed to protect borrowers from predatory lenders. So if RH is just the opposite of a predatory lender, let's say RH is a generous, kind lender, only to discover that the borrower was actually predatory and perfectly understood bankruptcy laws and is exploiting the bankruptcy laws for their benefit at her expense, you have a problem. And so in a bankruptcy situation, as the way I understand it from helping other people get through their bankruptcies over the years, the lenders, typically they would be banks and so on, lending for cars, mortgages, home equity loans, or businesses or something like that. The way the law works in America is that, let's say RH is a bank. Let's depersonalize this. Let's say RH is a bank, and the bank says, yes, dear person, we are totally willing to lend you $100,000. You've got this equity, you've got this business history, your credit score is this and this and this. We consider you a worthy borrower. Here is your $100,000. And then the borrower goes off and does stuff with that $100,000. And a little while later, the borrower files bankruptcy. A predatory borrower knows exactly what they're doing in that case. They can only get away with it now and again, but what happens is, in a bankruptcy court, the court holds the lender responsible as well as the borrower in kind of an equal balance. In other words, dear lender, in American bankruptcy law, you have to understand that you are also liable for your own demise if this loan backfires, because you are taking the risk of lending to a person that you don't know. You might not trust them, even though they might come across as trustworthy. Good credit score, they've already got business and money, flashy cars, houses, and everything. And so the lender has to accept the risk of being a lender. In other words, the lender can't go out. Like in China, if you are a Chinese and you borrow $100,000 off of a lender, like a bank or a local village bank or something, that lender can come after you forever. They don't really have bankruptcy protection much in China for the consumers. And so if you're a borrower in China and everything goes wrong, you're screwed. You're utterly, utterly screwed. You've lost a pile of money. The lender has lost a pile of money, and the lender is going to come after you even if they have to drag you through the dirt. So in America, we don't do that. So my feeling here is that you get to this awkward situation where you have to point out some of the delicate nuances of bankruptcy law in America, where you have to remind, let's say RH is a benevolent, kind, well-to-do person who loaned out money on good faith, only learning later on to be betrayed. And then they have to come to this shocking realization that you got screwed. Someone is deliberately filing bankruptcy as part of their strategy to screw you. And there's very little recourse for you, my dear friend, because the bankruptcy laws allow that a lender is taking a huge risk. If you, the lender, are willing to hand over $100,000 to this situation, person, entity, business, or whatever, that risk is on you. You can't dump 100% of all the risk on the borrower. You are liable for risk just as is the borrower. It's a horrible, shocking realization. And so in other words, you could frame it like, well, dear RH, maybe be grateful for your own natural abundance. And it's a painful lesson. The Nine of Pentacles is a card of independence and wealth that basically it can't be destroyed unless you give it away and you destroy it internally yourself. In other words, RH will recover, probably recover and be okay. And maybe it's very painful to go through a horrific life lesson where a kind, generous lender wakes up to the shocking reality that there are some bad, bad people out there. Thank you, Gregory. All right, up next we got Tina Miller. Yeah. All right, I got to give me a second here, folks. I'm clicking around here. I'm trying to prep up for the next reading. Okay, alrighty, yeah, that's good. Okay. So we are now going to read for the one and only Tina Miller. Gosh, I got to check the notes because I saw something there, Tina, about health issues. Give me a second. I got to catch up here. Also, we got a couple of newbies here tonight, and there's another one who just showed up. I want to acknowledge you. Hello, Natalia. You're saying here that you participated in a circle of light today and you're interested in tarot, astrology, and you got here. Well, you're at the right time, at the right place, with the right people for the right reasons. Welcome. So just hang out. Have a look at what we do. Alrighty. So, Tina, I got to scroll back through the chat here for a minute because we haven't seen Tina in a long time. You had the psych evaluation confirmed. Cognitive decline. Yay! Okay. All right. So, let's just go say hi. And of course, Necessary Truth is here too. What a great night. I almost didn't make it here to the show tonight. I've been feeling so down today. It's just awful. So, hello Necessary. I don't think Necessary needs an introduction. She's been with us again, like Gregory and like Maria, since, 7-8 years now or something. So, Natalia. Oh, Natalia, this is for you, Natalia. Gregory Ross is a reader himself. Necessary Truth is a psychic medium. Okay? Love Triber is here as well. She's a reader herself. A different type of reading, but it's very precision oriented. Using cards, but different types of cards. Also, we have... what was it? I think there was a couple of others. Where are they? I've lost everybody in the chat. I'm sorry. And there's Victor. Oh, that's right, Victor. Victor was here earlier as well. He's very interested in finances, but what he's also doing, he is multifaceted. He's a young lion master, Usui Reiki master, hands-on attuned healing master, basically a multiple style master healer. There's another fellow who comes here as well, Natalie, and his name is James Helen. He is also a multifaceted professional healer. That's what he does. Reiki, hands-on, remote, all that good stuff. So again, Natalie, you're in the right place. The learning never stops. I mean, I learn stuff every day. I've been doing this a long time, and every day is like, what? Oh my God, who knew? So you have to kind of allow for that in our little world here. Okay, a lot of the times we're just, and Robin's here too? I didn't see that. Robin Realms is also a professional reader. Readers hanging out with readers. Healers hanging out with healers. It's like a little club. I remember the very early days of TarotLumination. Remember that? The glory days. 40 videos a month. 12 videos for the sun sign. And 12 videos for your relationship readings. Oh, maybe 12 more for the journey readings. And then live readings on Sundays. I can't do it anymore. I had a total burnout, and on top of that, my channel got destroyed. So, anyway, here we are today with our new variations on TarotLumination. Alright, so we're going to do a mini reading for Tina. What did you call it? Cognitive decline. That's a polite way of, medical way of saying losing it. So I will confess something, Tina, if this makes you feel like you're in good company. I have lived the bulk of my life already. Chronologically speaking, I'm on the tail end of it. And you start to get these things that happen. Like some people call them senior moments, where you're just about to say something and then that. What was I going to say? Oh, you're just about to say something and then, oh, what was it? Like everything turns into a vacuum. That kind of situation. Sometimes there's different types. By the way, Tina, I'm going to share something here. I am not a doctor. Everybody here knows you, Tina. You've spent a whole career, a life career in healthcare, helping other people, especially other people who are in very dire situations. I have been in multiple near-death situations myself, so I have some awareness. I'd like to share a couple things. One of the most deadly things that ever happened to me was very subtle, very, very benign. I learned years later that it's called systemic candidiasis. So, what does that mean? So you've probably heard of fungal infections like, my tongue is all white, or my toes and my feet are all slimy and goopy, or my private parts are having a lot of problems, or what are the other symptoms of candida? Anyway, candida is a very simple, I think it's a yeast. Is it a yeast or a fungus or a mold? It's one of those. Anyway, candida is everywhere. It's in the air, it flies around, it's very, very primitive little creature. It's a yeast. Thank you, Tina. Anyway, because of the life that I was living, very stressful life, very small income, but I wanted to be happy, it's very, very hard to treat. I got to a point where I realized, holy shit, I'm dying. I'm dying. This doesn't make any sense. I can't think. I can't see. I can't hear. I can hardly move my arms. I can barely move my legs. I can barely breathe. When I breathe, white scum is coming out of my lungs. It's like, whoa. My sinuses are clogged. My eyes are messed up. My hearing is gone. And I didn't know what it was. And it came upon me very, very suddenly, but it took decades to build up to the crisis point. So I'm telling you this story, okay? So what I discovered, because I had a girlfriend at the time, and she happened to be a hospital-grade, high-level pharmacist. She was in charge of the pharmacy department at a major hospital. And we had a wonderful, fun relationship while it lasted. We learned a lot from each other. It was a very mutually supportive thing. But anyway, I told her I'm desperate. I was back at my house. She was over at her place. I said, something really bad has happened. I need help immediately. And I described everything to her while I was on my little, very old cell phone, hardly able to converse. And she listened, and we had several conversations, and she talked to some of her high-powered doctor friends and told them the story. And the doctors said, like, well, your friend sounds like they've got systemic candidiasis, which is very hard to understand. If this is a young man who's healthy, works hard, is physically active, hiking, walking, doing all fun things, cycling, everything, why would a person like that have systemic candidiasis? Didn't make any sense. And she came and conveyed to me, it's this, maybe you've got systemic candidiasis. So I went, oh, okay. Well, what am I supposed to do? I didn't have proper health care at the time. And she says, I'll figure it out for you. And so what she did, she got hold of this stuff called ketoconazole. There's other azoles. There's mycoconazole, there's fluconazole, ketoconazole, blah, 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 onazole, or whatever. The azoles. And they kill yeasts. And she said, you're probably going to have to use this one. It's really brutal. It's very powerful. And you're suffering from a disease that usually happens to people who are dying or close to death, and their body is already decomposing from the inside. It's common to see it in people who have like AIDS or HIV or some terminal disease, and they're on their deathbed. And so I said, okay, just get it to me. Give me that stuff. And so I took this stuff, and it was life-changing. Completely, utterly life-changing. It was absolutely brutal. The treatment was just brutal. And she warned me that you could almost die from the treatment, but you're going to have to do it if you want to live. And so the ketoconazole kills the candida in your body. Remember, it's not just a little thrush thing, or, you know, it's inside your whole body. It's inside your brain. The worst part was my brain, okay? My brain, I couldn't think. I was always complaining of fog. Every time I would have a beer, it would get 10 times worse. What's the problem? Anyway, systemic candidiasis cured by ketoconazole. The treatment was horrific. I had to do it for a year. And if you let up, if you forget a couple of doses, you're in serious trouble, because the candida will come right back. But anyway, I thought I was losing my mind. Hi, Bubba. What's the matter? Oh, you want a drink of water? I'm doing my show, Bubba. Come and say hi to everybody, okay? Come on. Everybody loves you. They want to see you. I'll get you some snacks. Give me a second. Bubba is here. Bubba for president. It's all right, Bubba. I just wanted to check in. Here's little Bubba. He's very uncomfortable. He doesn't want to do this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Bubba. I love you very much, but I'm in the middle of a show, okay? Oh, little Bubba. Okay, well, I'll just stay here with you. Just stay here for a minute. Okay. So, preemie babies. Okay, so anyway, it was very, very frightening. I thought I was going to die. But I got this treatment, and I lived. And I had to change my whole diet, because I was hardly eating any meat. I was living off carbs and cheese, basically, and fruits and vegetables. regular wine, beer. And so I had to do a radical diet change, and I went on to a keto diet or whatever it is. I had to eat meat with more meat followed by meat. In other words, it's beef, chicken, pork, seafood. That was about it. I could have nuts and seeds. And I went into a deep depression for a whole year because I didn't realize I was living off fast energy foods like sugar and carbs. And so when you start going on a diet like that where it's just meat and protein and fat, it changes your whole being. Now, I'm not so Tina, the point I'm trying to get at is that I know for a fact that certain types of cognitive decline are a direct result of fungal infection of the brain. Okay? Hi, Bubba. I know, Bubba. I know you want to be a center of attention right now, but I'm doing readings, okay? I love you, Bubba. I do. You don't have to worry about that side of it. Please. You're going to be okay. I promise you, you're going to be okay. All right. So give me a second here. Okay, Tina, so we're going to do your reading in a minute, but I had to get that out of me because for whatever reason, I mean, you can have multiple conditions at the same time. And if your body is weak and fragile, it's very easy for the candida to take hold. And you're already in you already know everything I'm talking about, but I don't know if it's worth exploring to see if you might have. I don't know how you would test. I never had any tests to see if I had systemic candidiasis. I just took the word of my pharmacist girlfriend and all her doctor buddies. I'm sorry, Tina, I'll be right back. I have to take care of Bubba for a minute. He needs food and water. Okay, come on, Bubba. I'll be right back. Let me just entertain you for a little bit. Please be patient. Bear with me. Oh, I've got to do this. Bubba, come here. Come on. Come on, Bubba. Thanks for your patience, Tina. So it says here. Okay. All right. Spinal tap. I don't know. So I'm not a doctor, Tina. I don't know. I'm just sharing one example. I really thought I was losing my mind. I thought my brain had gone completely. And what I realized, it was just fully infected with candida. It's that simple. My God, it was a nightmare existence for a while. It was very, very, very hard on my system to do the treatment and the recovery, but I did. So the cognitive decline from the things that I've seen, because I like looking at watching videos about these things. It's how the neurons in the brain they collect, what is it? Some kind of like plaque or something that makes it harder and harder for the nerve endings to do their traditional normal transmissions. Okay? So, they tested for everything. I don't know. I was never actually tested for candida. That's the point. And here's another thing I learned, Tina, is that the doctors were actually very, very nice to my girlfriend. They said, honestly, we don't really test for it. We just take it for granted that if someone's on their deathbed, that they're going to get this thing. We don't even analyze it. It's just we just think of it as the body is already decomposing. They don't think of it as a disease that can happen early in life, where you're just living your life and all of a sudden you've got systemic candidiasis, and you just go into a doctor and they go, "Oh, you look like you got systemic candidiasis. Come over here. I got to double check." Yeah, you got systemic candidiasis. They don't do that. The doctor was telling me we just don't do it. So if people die of it earlier in life, we don't know about it because we don't test. We don't even look. They're just like, oh, they died of natural causes. They couldn't breathe, or whatever it was. So I don't know. I'm going to share another thing, Tina. As you know, I've had several life-threatening diseases. I'm dealing with one at the moment, but I'm dealing with it extremely well. And I think one of the things that's helping me is called, you're going to think I'm a conspiracy theorist. Again, you probably know about all of this stuff, Tina, but people are using it to fight off cancer. One of them is called what is it? It's the ivermectin. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Ivermectin. And the other one is called fenbendazole. And both of these are things that are used by veterinarians to tackle fungal infections, bacterial worm infections in animals, especially farm animals. And there's a lot of anecdotal stories out there saying that this fenbendazole is amazing. And you can get it on Amazon. It's cheap. And you just start loading up on it. And I'm loading up on it right now because I've been told that I am at a risk for some very serious stuff coming down the line, and I'm thinking, I want to get ahead of this. So I'm going to try and get ahead of this. So I thought, what have I got to lose? I'm going to start dosing up on fenbendazole. So that's what I'm doing. In fact, I've doubled up the dose. I don't feel any side effects. And who knows, it's actually working. I won't know for the next few months, but I hope to find out. If I find out that I'm clear, then maybe it's because I used alternative medicine. My neurologist sent me to the ER for wanted stat MRI and a spinal tap based on the MRI results. MRI, magnetic. That's the big machine where they look inside your brain. MRI, magnetic resonance imagery. Yeah. Man, Tina. You know, it would be really cool if they actually find out what the issue is and if it's something that's treatable. Or if it's not fully treatable, then how do you manage it? Like managing your condition, all of that. So, a lot of people, especially the older we get, the more likely you are to have cognitive decline. Yeah. Oh, okay, so you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to promote it any further because I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but I thought I'd mention it. In other words, two completely separate health issues. One was treated with ketoconazole. The other was treated as being treated with fenbendazole. Okay, not treatable. Your situation not treatable. Okay, so all right. Let's go to the reading. Okay, so you're still getting tests. If they're looking for MRIs and spinal taps, that means they're thinking that there must be a reason and an explanation. And it really helps to know what's going on. I really love having a good diagnosis. I hate not knowing what the problem is. All right, let's see what's going on. What kind of messages do we have here for Tina tonight regarding, let's say, whatever life holds? It doesn't necessarily have to be for health issues, but health issues are obviously a big issue for you right now. Gregory, yeah, by the way, folks, in case you're not aware, Gregory Ross is over there in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Tina's also in New Mexico. New Mexico is a big place. Not a lot of people. Not treatable. Just don't know the rate of decline. Okay, the rate of decline. Okay, that's understandable. Sorry, I'm going to shuffle a little bit more because I want to be, I guess in the zone. I want to feel like I'm right here. We're not worrying about anything else right now. Okay, so what kind of messages do we have here for Tina tonight regarding her situation? All right. Requesting maximum clarity. Okay, here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things moving forward. Let's have a look at external influences. So you've got the world here. So this would be an indication that this is a life-changing situation where you're in right now, where you're saying not treatable. The world card is basically, the way I'm reading the message here is this. It's about sublime acceptance of the existing reality. In other words, life as you knew it, in other words, life before cognitive decline has now already been lived. And so now when the world card appears, that means one chapter is ending and a whole new chapter is beginning, okay? It's like a movie series or like a TV series, like season 1, season 2, season 3. And inside each season there's multiple episodes. So what this is saying is that season 1 is over and season 2 is coming up next, okay? So season 2, the way I look at it is, so long as you have, the key thing is to maintain what I would call sublime acceptance. In other words, understanding that everything is perfect. Everything is exactly as it should be. How is that so? Why is that so? It's because it can't be any other way. Things are the way they are. It's up to us how we deal with it. Example, the planets. They're just doing what they do. They're not trying to hurt anybody. They're not good. They're not evil. They are just entities that float around. They have geomagnetic influence on themselves, on each other, on Earth, and all of Homo sapiens here on Earth. And it's how we respond accordingly. People up in this area here, represented by a Capricorn 29.5 degrees, could be, let's say, identified as the tiny number of global elites who decide to tap into the most negative, unhealthy expression of that energy. But most people don't, and most people don't want to. Most people just want to be happy, healthy. They want clean air so they can breathe properly. They want clean water and beverages, nice clean food, safe shelter, friends, community, a sense of meaning and purpose and activity, and basically a life, you know? So with the World card here, it's like you've already got that. But what's it look like going forward? It's a whole new world, but the new world for you is about accepting your new reality. So if they're saying it's not treatable, it's cognitive decline, then it's almost basically like saying, oh, okay, so if that's what season 2 is going to look like, then how are we going to deal with that? Okay, here's the situation. With the 5 of Swords here, the way I see it, there's no point in trying to fight it. Like, it would be great to have some kind of instant click resolution answer like, oh, cognitive decline. Oh, here's how we deal with that. I already know, first of all, because I am in the healthcare industry, I already know the outcome, and nobody can prove me wrong. And if there is an alternative, I'm sorry, you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. So there's an energy of futility here. Like, what's the point in trying to fight something that cannot be fought? In other words, do not expend any time or energy trying to wage a war that cannot be won. Some people do that. Some people spend huge amounts of life source energy trying to, let's say, deny reality. And they just end up making their own reality even worse. So my feeling is that with the 5 of Swords here for you is that it's in order that you don't end up as a, let's say, a victim of misinformation. Let's say, for example, you decide to completely, utterly, blindly trust your doctors and nothing else will convince you otherwise, then you could be setting yourself up for a restriction in options that might be out there available to you that you would not normally consider. Mostly because you have, a long career in healthcare yourself, so you've already got a very well established set of protocols, beliefs, and understandings about health and healthcare and how it all works. But now you are effectively the patient. And now you're going to have to deal with being a patient, knowing that you have a certain diagnosis, cognitive decline. And trying to fight the diagnosis is not going to help. Let's have a look. How are we going to, what's the problem here? The problem, okay, with the 4 of Swords here, my feeling, the problem is that you like to be involved in life. You like to be kind of in there, chewing off life, living every day in the moment, fulfilled, active body, mind, heart, and soul, where you give everything. All day, whatever it is, to the house, to the dogs, to daily activities, wherever they might be, and you throw yourself at it with all of your, like, waking consciousness. And that's just your standard operating procedure. And then being in a situation where you're being told, oh dear Tina, you've got something called cognitive decline. You need to rest. You need to chill. You need to take things a little more easily. We've got to do more diagnostics, and you need to do things that are less stressful on your body, your mind, your heart, and your soul. Dial things down a bit. Maybe get regular naps. Go to regular meditation. Start meditating. Start tuning into divine energy healing. And then you're like, are you kidding me? I like being me. I like being my active life, my active self, being involved in life. To me, it makes me feel like the last thing you want to do is just kind of unplug from life in the world and just sit there and meditate. That sucks. That's stupid. That's boring. That's for hippies. That's for whatever. Maybe you do like to meditate, but the whole idea of turning it into a daily active regimen, okay, it's time for my afternoon. Or maybe somebody's telling you, dear Tina, it's time for you to go to some very advanced yoga treatment, energy healers over there in Albuquerque. And you're like, are you kidding me? I've done ICU for decades. That stuff is I think it's really cool, but I like to live my life. I don't want to sit there going, oh, well, somebody does. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm sensing here. What's DNR? Just don't ready to decline. DNR all the way. What's that? Do not resuscitate. Oh, okay. Oh, that's funny. I don't know why it's funny, but to me it feels really funny. Okay, so if my interpretation is correct, this is all done with a little bit of humor. Yeah, do not resuscitate. Oh, God. So, just to share a bit of the humor with you, Tina, because of my own health situations, my doctors have been asking me to fill out all these, what do they call them? Living wills, and what are those documents called where you've got to leave a piece of paper, so when you croak or when you are approaching end of life, are you going to have DNR, or are you going to have make sure your family and friends do everything they can to keep you going, oxygen tents, extra blood transfusions, whatever it is. Okay. Okay, so to me it makes me feel like, Tina, you're a trooper. You're taking all of this with a good frame of mind. You'd rather it didn't happen. You'd rather, of course, it doesn't have cognitive. Who would want to have cognitive decline? We all want to grow old gracefully and mature and be able to have clarity of mind. But you're a DNR all the way. Okay. All right. So let's have a look. I have Tina saying, I have audiology testing on Monday and the ENT, ear, nose, and throat specialists in November for the constant ringing in the ears. Okie dokie. One of my things with my systemic candidiasis was my ears, oh God, it was horrible. So anyway, how are we going to deal with all this stuff moving forward? Yay! Fight! 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 Tina, all the way. Fight! 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 The worse it gets, the stronger you become. That's what it looks like to me here, Tina. Going forward, like your life situation would be about, like, okay, making conscious, deliberate decisions. Like, I'm fucking gonna live my life anyway. I don't give a shit about what they say or what they. Okay, I am a, yeah. Okay, so I am a patient, and I've reached this chapter in my life. Great, but I'm still gonna be living life to the full. I don't care what anybody says. You can't stop me, and I have a right to be happy. I have a right to be my own master. I have a right to my sovereign self. I have the right to make my own decisions, so long as I am conscious enough to do that, and nobody can stop me. So in some ways, that's actually a very healthy attitude. That's almost like, it's like, basically, it's like your immune system. Most powerful aspect of your immune system right now is your consciousness. Okay, so the actual mechanics of the brain, like with cognitive decline, may be in decline, but your consciousness is not going anywhere. In fact, it makes me feel like you're getting stronger. Very strange to say that, but that's what it feels like to me. The way forward is to stay strong, remain courageous, stay in your strength, because, as a professional healer already, you know damned well what's going on. You've seen all this before. You know every aspect of all the scenarios of what's happening, but this time it's happening to you. Look at it this way. Every doctor eventually, at some point, ends up as a patient somewhere. Every nurse, eventually at some point, becomes a patient somewhere, somehow. And that's just your situation right now. So going forward, dealing with the situation is, I'm not saying be completely, utterly fuck you defiant. It's more about, you know what? I'm going to stay in my strength, stay in my power. I'm going to keep hold of my consciousness as much as I can while I can. Have as much fun in life as I can. I'll do all the tests and everything for sure, because I just want to know as much as anyone else. But this is how we move forward. It's almost like saying full throttle, okay? Okay, what's this going on? I'm just looking at the, what are the notes here? There's a lot of notes coming up from Love Triber. Love Triber is an alternative healer. Ivermectin. Love Triber is saying, please step outside barefoot in the grass. You'll benefit from grounding while you contemplate the next step. Hold on, I'm trying to catch up with the chat. It's very active. Hold on. I asked my lung doctor for DNR. He refused. Stated his primary doc's job. And I laughed. Oh, God. Love Triber, you're not grounded very well at the moment. It will help tremendously. Love Triber is saying, Love Triber use ivermectin for heartworm protection, and my dogs have never had fleas either. Okay. Tina's indication looks here like the nurses and doctors are the worst patients. I would imagine, yeah. Love Triber, yes, it's a miracle drug. It's hidden, but you will not be harmed. It's basically grass spores. It's a Nobel Prize winning therapeutic. Tina Miller, there is no grass here. Oh my God. Well, at least you've got a good sense of humor, Tina. That's for sure. And you've got your big furry friends to help you along as you go through. Enormous cuddle buddies. Wonderful. So, Tina, it looks like the show is not over by any means. You're a trooper. You're doing what you got to do, so hang in. All right, so we're going to wrap up the show here, people. It's been wonderful to hang out. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thank you for the newbies for hanging out as well. We're going to try and be here again next Sunday, same time, do the same thing. Would love to have you. In the meantime, please come and hang out with me over on TarotLumination at RUMBLE. It's basically like just doing this, but it's on the RUMBLE platform. Okay? Another thing you can do is if you have, Twitter X on your apps, your phone, your computer, whatever, I archive everything now on my X. So you can go to TarotLumination on X and you can get TarotLumination content and more. Okay? Okay, I'm going to leave you guys on a happy note. I was very happy to see the 8 of Wands there for you, Tina. Okay? Take care, everybody. Look after yourselves. Be loving, be loved. All that good stuff. I'm going to wrap it up. We all got places to go, people to see, things to do, stuff to say, things to learn. Okay. Bye-bye. Good night.